All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Tanner today, and we are in the middle of fall camp right now. I can feel it. We're just a couple weeks away from football season and being back in the big house. Shout out to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. Love you boys over there. They've been hooking it up all year long. We're getting the tailgate ready, getting some signage ready for these guys, talking about having the trucks out there at the tailgate. And it's got me so amped up, dude. I'm so ready to be back.
Yeah, we're 17 days away, so 2.5 weeks. It always feels like it takes forever, and then it kind of creeps up on you.
It's like all of a sudden, I swear, I've said this to a lot of people, but like 4th of July hits, and then like I feel like the last month and a half is just like flown by, and we're just here.
Yeah, I mean, I think as I've gotten older too, just having more things that take up your time, not thinking about being so excited for football like I am, but you just have other things on your mind, other responsibilities and obligations, and so it just kind of creeps up, and you're like, oh shoot, week 0's in 10 days, so very excited. Best time of year, man. I can't wait. I love
next
this
year. Also, week 0 will be us. So
I have thoughts on that. We haven't had a podcast since then, have we?
I don't know that we have. I don't know.
I've cooled down. I've cooled down a little bit, but I still think it's really dumb. But yeah, best time of year. Weather cools down. Seasonal drinks. I'm a big caramel apple hard cider guy. You thought I was going to say pumpkin latte, right? But I can get down with that, but that's not why I'm excited.
I mean, people did give us crap for drinking Truly in the past. So, those girly drinks that, just tons of only girls drink these.
I have to throw this out there. Even before I ever joined Blue by 90, I always like to talk shit on social media. And I recall, I don't know if there was a picture that was like my profile picture where I was holding like a White Claw or something right when they kind of first exploded onto the scene. But there was like an Ohio State fan who would just constantly tweet me like a picture of like my face cut out onto like a woman's body because I drank White Claws, which is dumb because I would like use that to chase like the cheapest vodka ever.
Right.
So anyways, I was like 22 and I just thought it was the funniest thing. But yeah, so you can't enjoy a drink. You can't enjoy a light, refreshing
fruity
drink.
Will be enjoying plenty of drinks here in a couple weeks. I will say that. So, week 0, week 1, we're here. I will say though, you mentioned the weather like cooling down, and it's like 1,000 degrees outside.
It will at some point.
I am a bit worried though, to be honest. Like if it's this weather in 2 weeks, then we might die. Honestly,
we're just gonna huddle under the tent, but then all the body heat is gonna radiate. It's gonna be a whole thing. But I do think, like, just looking at the forecast in Ann Arbor, like next week it starts to be in the 70s. I can take that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you remember last year against Fresno State how hot that whole day was leading into the night game? Like I was red the next week.
Yeah, it's that is like these first couple weeks are the times when I like forget to wear sunscreen, and I'm like, oh, this is why are you so dumb, Justin? So, but either way, I will say you and I talked on the phone today as well. And what did you say? You said just the couple clips of Bryce Underwood and Ed Kurski with his voice going, got you ready to be back.
Every time I see Ed Kurski, who's just like jacked with his like Nike Michigan polo come onto the screen, I'm just like, let's go. Like we're so close to football season. Just shout out to Ed Kurski. Like he's just a staple of my life at this point. Like he's been doing it forever. You get like 15 seconds of practice footage with him interviewing players and talking to players. And you might as well just make that a hype video with like Enter Sandman in the background. Like that's how fired up I am at this point. I'm so starved for football that that gets me going.
I love it. No, I love it. And I think, honestly, we talked about this too, that like Michigan is one of the few, if only, schools that really doesn't allow media into practice at all. And so you only get a few of those clips. It makes it a little bit even more just like, I need this so badly. I need to see
Samaj just one-handed Odell, and you're like 1,500 yards. Not even a second thought about it. You're just like, yep, that's what he's doing all camp. He's just mossing people one-handed.
Hasn't dropped the ball at all. I haven't seen any drops, So
no.
I will say at least Michigan isn't. Who was it? Was it Tennessee that had? I can't remember who. I think it was
Florida State where they were dropping footballs.
No, where they threw it was a clip of an interception, and they blurred out who the QB was when he threw it.
Yeah, that's tough. Maybe the guy they're about to announce as the starter who transferred from UCLA to complete the Nico. I'm not gonna try to say his last name trade.
I'm Lamaleva. I am a leaving. I don't. Yeah, I am a leaving.
I'm a leaving Rocky Top.
No, it is funny too, because this is like, we are true sickos, and I know that a lot of the people listening to this are also sickos. And it's like, these are the weeks here where it really starts getting into your brain of like the what ifs. Like, what if, Samaj just like bursts onto the scene and we've just been holding him back with screenplays and he actually can take the top off and go for 1,000 yards? What if Donovan McCoy, is the most physical receiver and he's like a giant Nico Collins that we can just throw it up to,
Right. What's great about it is we lived through what if Joe Milton is Cam Newton. Didn't work out. But we also lived through what if Michigan beats everyone? What if Michigan beats the shit out of everybody on their schedule, wins the national championship? Well, they did that. So we've been on the extremes of it. But yeah, you get the unknown of football. You get those jitters, and I mean, I do. Like, I'm not playing. It has no bearing on my actual life, but I will let it dictate my mood for the next 3+ months. 18 to 22-year-olds don't care. Like, this is what we do, man. This is what we got.
This is all we have in life, really. This is it. No, I think it is like, this is the time where anything can happen, right? Like, this is the best part of the season for a lot of people. Not everybody can go 15-0 and win everything, so they have to like hang on to things right now. But I think this is like, when you have a quarterback like Bryce Underwood and you have this like possibility of, you're just thinking about like holy shit, what if the Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall are just like the best running back duo, and Rod Moore comes back and he's just as good as he was in the past, and like TJ Metcalf, they're talking about him being a dog, and like, so I think that I love this time of the year because it's like everything could be real, right? Everything that ever goes through our heads of like this could possibly happen, it's like that still has a chance to be real.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if you do this, but when I go to the gym and I ride the bike for 30 minutes, I just watch old highlights. And I started watching the 2022 season today. And basically 2022, yes, it didn't end in a national championship, but it was kind of like, hey, what if JJ is just like a stud? And he was. Right. And then it's like, what if Blake Corum is just like the best running back in the country? And I had that thought cross my mind of like, dude, what about like Jordan Marshall? Like, he looked pretty good against Bama. Blake Corum, his freshman year, didn't get a lot of playing time. He's kind of, in and out. Like, what if Jordan Marshall's that kind of guy? So it's like you just let that hype kind of build in your own head. And then, you may be just disappointed. But I'd rather overhype things, at least when it comes to stuff like this, where it's just kind of frivolous. It's just football. Like, yeah, get excited. Like, fall for the hype. Fall for the bait. I don't care.
That's the point.
I fell for Joe fucking Milton, dude. Like, come on.
And that's like, I was thinking about it too. I mean, we're getting, I would say, up there in age a little bit in terms of like, we're obviously past the college stage, that's for sure, right? And so it's starting to be like where people can say like, oh, why do you care so much? It's like, no, I want to care about things in life. I want to care about this and have passion. And, this is what I'm passionate about. Some people are passionate about books, music, theater, whatever. We are passionate about 18 to 22-year-olds throwing a football and tackling each other, So it is what it is.
Real quick on the subject of getting older, Saturday I had a handful of Crown Apple and lemonades, and let me tell you, I cannot bounce back. Like Sunday, rough day for your boy.
That is,
felt it Monday morning a little bit, and then it tapered off at like noon.
The 2-day hangover is tough once you get to this point.
Yeah,
and I mean, this is definitely we are at the age of like, used to be able to go all day and all night. It's like you either got to pick one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Day drinking or night drinking. We can't do both.
No.
That this first game is going to put us to the test.
Oh yeah, yeah. I will say though, I feel like now if you get too shit faced, then you're kind of SOL. But if you pace yourself and then you go to the game, and then after the game you're like, wow, and then you wake up the next day and feel amazing. So you just can't go crazy. Too many shot skis, too many bongzillas, right? Too much flip cup.
I mean, that's kind of the issue when we get like. So if I have a few during the day, we just start getting closer and closer to game time. The buzz is building. The shot skis keep coming out, and that's when it's just like I love it so much. I get so excited. I want to take more and more and more.
What was the game last year? It was a home game, and it was at night. And like, I think you and I were like trying to clean up the tailgate to get to the game, but also kept like taking shots. It might have been a Northwestern game. I don't remember.
I think so.
It was like dark, and I just remember like the sun setting, and we're just like, no, one more. Like there's like Carl Grapentine's yelling at the band, and we're like, we can get there. We'll make it. It'll be fine. And we like sprinted over. Yeah. So, you got to pick your priorities this time of year.
Sure.
Like, do I want that extra drink, or do I want to spend $12.50 in the big house?
I mean, it's a tough choice these days now that we can drink in there. You always can grab a Hale IPA inside the stadium if you need to. So,
wouldn't recommend that if you're already on the brink, but
exactly.
If you just want something, it's very, very great, solid choice.
Solid choice. All right, let's talk some real football now. So I think that this is not going to be shocking, but the one big thing, the theme that I keep hearing from inside and outside is that this defense is dominating. And I don't think that's shocking, knowing that like we have an unbelievable defense that with guys, we lost a lot, but we have a bunch of guys coming back. And then you have a young, inexperienced offense as well. And so it's not shocking to me. And it actually, in my mind, puts me more at ease, because I think if this defense can do, what we saw it do at the end of the season last year and what we know that Wink can do, then there's less pressure on Bryce Underwood in the offense, right? And so, what are your thoughts on this defense? Obviously, like just studs all around, but it feels like that's going to still be the theme of Michigan football, is starting with the D.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talent. Both guys that have been in the program for a number of years, that have been at Michigan since they came out of high school, and guys that came in through the portal. I'm really, really excited about the defensive ends. I mean, you lose Josiah Stewart, but when you talk about Derek Moore and TJ Guy, like that's a pretty damn good duo. I thought Derek Moore could have gone to the NFL last year, maybe been a second day pick.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's back, I think he's going to have a big senior year. We had him on our show earlier. Just love his mentality. He just seems very locked in, focused, knows what he needs to do his senior year, and to accomplish all his goals on the field this year, but then also in the NFL next year. And TJ Guy, I thought, really came on towards the end of the year. He's really put it together, and I'm excited to see kind of a full season as him going into the season, knowing he is going to be one of the guys at defensive end, is going to get a lot of playing time, a lot of reps here in fall camp. Like, I'm excited to see what he can do. And then obviously you lose Graham and Grant in the middle, but we know what Rayshawn Benny can be. And then Damon Payne and Trey Pierce, like both guys that have played a lot of football in the SEC and the ACC, like excited to see those guys come in. So up front, very excited. I mean, linebackers, dogs, like it's – and secondary, I think, has got a lot of really young, talented players that are going to,
and
grow this year.
Trey Williams too, right? Like, I mean, that's the big boy. And I love him in number 0 too. Just like a giant man that's wearing 0 there's something about that being amazing.
Yeah, I meant to say Trey Williams. Trey Pierce is going to be a really good player too. What I was referring to, the transfers, obviously Trey Williams. So to me, Trey's, man, I don't know.
We got a lot going on here. It is in the transfer portal era. It's hard to keep track of everybody, to be honest. But even an NL Etta, right, who we really haven't seen much of. And, I think you're going to be able to see a bunch of guys that have not seen much or not been that they've either haven't seen the field or have been role players that are going to take that leap And then I think even like a Cam Brandt, right? I think Cam Brandt is going to have, people are talking about him a lot, and he's,
Dominic Nichols.
Yeah, Dom Nichols, the guys love him, and those are guys that again are probably going to be behind a Derek Moore or TJ Guy, but that's what Derek Moore and TJ Guy were, a year or 2 years ago, right? I think that the depth on the line for Michigan has been the key to the success of the defense, because then you just don't put that much pressure on the secondary as well.
Well, and I heard when Sharon was having his press conference, he mentioned Nate Marshall, who's I think the highest rated defensive lineman from this year's class. I think maybe going to be similar to Derek Moore as a freshman, right? Where Derek Moore got a lot of playing time. And I think this defensive line's really deep, but so is that one. I think you'll see Nate Marshall start to get himself onto the field. He's just too talented to keep off. And, there's just a lot of depth. I mean, David Pale, he was a big time flip from Penn State. Was it Penn State or USC? I can't remember, man. I'm old, dude. But he was a flip, and Michigan got him at the end of 2024. He's a big, kind of one tech defensive tackle. We'll love to see, what his development's been over the last year in the program, and what he can bring to the table. Just a lot of depth pieces around, but that front four is really, really talented. And obviously it's going to be maybe a little bit of a fall off, but I think in terms of just 8 guys across the board that are going to get a lot of playing time, it's a really good unit.
Yeah, and then you talk about we talked about it when you had Mason Graham and Rayshon and Kenneth Grant in the middle last year. A lot of things got swallowed up, and our linebackers didn't even need to make the play, right? Same with the edges, right? We just got to the quarterback or got to the running back quickly. But you look at Ernest Hausman, who I think is going to play himself into a first round, second round pick this year. And Jay-Sean Barham, if they use him in the way that I think we all want to see, with just his ears pinned back, don't have to think about things and just flying around with the football, he could be incredible. So you look at those guys, I'm super excited. And then, you add in a Jimmy Rolder, who is a senior. He's been around, probably not that unbelievable playmaking type guy, but another depth piece I think is very
well.
Very
he's
nice.
Been banged up a lot. I really liked him coming out of high school. I think he's made plays for Michigan. He's just not been able to stay on the field. So, if he can be a guy that can come in and play a handful of snaps here and there, give somebody a break. I think he's extremely talented. I just, he's flashed at times, but just has not been able to avoid the injury bug, unfortunately. So, he's another guy that's kind of an unknown, but I think, could be a pretty solid football player.
Yeah. And then Cole Sullivan, actually, I know that a lot of guys are high on him. I think, again, probably a role player type guy for this year, but has the body for it. I mean, just a big dude. And so excited about him. And then you move to the secondary, and I think there are a lot of the guys last year we're sitting here who is this Brandon Hillman guy? Who is Jair Hill, right? Who is Mason Curtis? Who's Zeke Berry? Those guys that just burst onto the scene last year with basically zero experience last year. Now, all of a sudden, they've got a full year under their belt. They're coming in as, even though they're sophomores and juniors, they are experienced guys now. And so those are the guys that I'm looking at right now. The Jairs, the Hillmans, the Mason Curtis, the Zeke Berries, those guys I think are just going to make a huge that sophomore leap, kind of that second year leap. And I'm super excited about those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Jair Hill, I think there's a lot of people out there that think he could potentially be a first round pick at the end of this year, because he's obviously very physically talented. Towards the end of the year, I think there were some road bumps for him, and kind of being a football player at Michigan, and some of the things that, kind of you read between the lines and maybe not meeting all expectations, but obviously a guy that can be a shutdown corner. I mean, he made some incredible plays last year. And Zeke Berry too, Zeke Berry caught a lot of flack last year, started at nickel. That's a really tough position. We talked about that with TJ and Tevis Metcalf. That's the toughest position in the secondary. And then, kind of bounces around and then finds success at cornerback, played well against Ohio State and Alabama. So he's a guy who's in his 4th year with the program. you think about, I mean, elephant in the room, Rod Moore, right?
Yeah.
And I know Sharon said that he's progressing, could be back sooner than expected. Just unfortunate that like this was like spring practice last year.
I know.
For an ACL a year and a half later. I don't know what happened.
I mean, it's one of those things. I know he had to go back and have another surgery, so it can be. It's always a bunch of different things, right? Like surgery doesn't go perfectly. Recovery, you try to go back too quickly,
right?
A lot of those things can happen, and sometimes shit just doesn't heal right?
Yeah.
Like that happens too.
For sure. So Rod Moore, I mean, everyone knows our thoughts. I think if you're a Michigan fan, you just absolutely adore Rod Moore. One of my favorite players over the last, I mean, probably my lifetime. I mean, the guy just makes plays and represents Michigan so well. So, potentially him coming back into the fold. You mentioned Mason Curtis, Brandon Hillman. I think Mason Curtis, I mean, he's an athletic freak. I mean, we saw him at the Feldman event. He's all 6'4". I mean, he looks like a linebacker, but he's playing safety, and he's got good ball skills. He had the interception against Northwestern where he made a heck of a play. So, and then Jaden Mangham too. Didn't play last year, was injured. I know our friends an hour down the road love him. So, he's got a couple more years of eligibility. And then also Shamari Earls coming in, big time corner, right? He's wearing number 2. Not backing away from the expectations. So Kanoa Winston and then Elijah Dotson. And I've heard a lot of good things too about Jaden Sanders, who was kind of the crown jewel of the cornerback room in the recruiting class last year before Shamar Earls flipped from Georgia. So, he's a tall, rangy corner. His dad played at TCU, so he's got the bloodline. So there's just a lot of talent in the secondary. And Justin, one last question I want to ask you here real quick on the defense. Sharon was asked who was standing out to him. Do you know who the first player he named was? It's not a secondary guy.
Who was it?
It was Cole Sullivan. I wanted to get that in earlier, but we got to talk about the secondary. That guy is going to be a dog.
I mean, I think there are going to be a lot of these guys that, like, again, they go from practice players last year to all of a sudden they're like in the mix, and then you just never know what's going to happen there. And I think that when it comes to be like, it's a long season. Injuries happen, stuff goes on, right? You need that depth. And so I'll tell you right now, it's never a bad thing when Sharon Moore is talking about a guy that you may have not heard about before that's coming up as a redshirt freshman.
I mentioned their names. I completely forgot to talk about TJ and Tevis Metcalf.
Our guy.
I don't know. I said it, and then I was like, oh, I said their name, but I was referencing something they said. No, TJ was a big-time player for Arkansas last year. Tevis was a freshman, so didn't get a lot of run, but both obviously very talented guys coming from an extremely talented family. If you're not aware, DK Metcalf is their first cousin, so elite athletic genes in that family. And TJ made some big-time plays last year. He had a game with a couple picks against Auburn. So, I'm really excited about those guys. Jacob Oden from Detroit is coming into his second year in the program. He was a big time safety recruit. So there's just a lot of talent. Jordan Young was a big time recruit coming in that Michigan was able to get away from Clemson at the end of last year. So, I mean, you just look, there's just so many guys on this depth chart, on this roster defensively that are extremely talented, highly recruited. And you just got to put it all together now.
I mean, that's the thing is like you do need to put it together. But I think the big thing for the defense was like Wink. I think if we had week 12 Wink at the beginning of the season last year, this may look like a different, last year might have looked a little bit different. That Oregon game probably looks a little bit different. Even the Washington game, looks a little bit different. Obviously, I would say not the blame wasn't on the defense for really any of those games, but that's how things go.
And sometimes against Oregon, they just give you a touchdown when you drop the ball. I mean, that's just sometimes that happens. It's okay.
So I think the defense is definitely that more sound. I think we know more about the defense, right? And so that's like definitely going to be the more reliable. All right, we're going to probably lean on them. And then, let's go over to the offense too, because I think that, this is where there are still question marks. And Last year, obviously the quarterback position was, everybody's focus, but I think a subtle low-key thing that was a huge reason for Michigan not being successful last year was the offensive line, right? They were not the 2021, 2022, 2023 Michigan offensive line. And so you had different guys in there. You obviously had a redshirt freshman, Evan Link, just kind of thrown into the fire. You had some different guys in there. And so I think that they are going to take a pretty big leap this year, if I had to guess, because I think that, Sharon had basically no time to recruit that position last year once he was actually named head coach, right? Didn't really get a chance to hit the portal much. And so this year, give me the rundown on the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, last year, obviously, and part of that, too, is, most teams, most of the time, knew that you were going to try to run the ball. You didn't have much threat of a downfield passing attack. Thankfully, Michigan this year has Bryson Underwood. So, I mean, that's, that running back, that's he looked really good the spring game. So I've been wanting to make that joke for a second now. But obviously, with the running game, I mean, it's got to be complementary football, right? That's what Chip Lindsey did to find success at North Carolina. It wasn't just airing it out with Drake May. It was a lot of Omarion Hampton, right? And so, Michigan's got, a couple guys at running back to help, and obviously Max Bredesen too. So I think that's going to take some pressure off of this offensive line to allow them to, hey, they're not knowing that we're just going to try to run the ball every single time, right? Yeah. Like they may actually think there's a pass. I may catch a defensive lineman off guard, may be able to get up to a linebacker before he's just downhill running at me. So I'll be curious to see how it all shakes out. I mean, obviously Gio's going to be a starter. I got to think Greg Crippen is too.
Greg Crippen,
right?
Yeah. Sharon came out and did say that Crippen and Gio were both starters.
Right. So then it's Andrew Sprague, who's a redshirt freshman. We just went through that last year, but Sprague is like, I mean, he wasn't a 5-star, but he might as well have been, I think. I mean, he was just such an impressive guy in high school, a year and a half or so under his belt in the program at Michigan, in the strength and conditioning program, eating right, working out, all those things. So I would love to see him compete for a job. Blake Frazier, we saw him at the toy drive.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's a big, tall, lanky kid, but definitely could tell and that was almost a year ago now. So right. I'm sure obviously you got to put on weight, and it's, 19 years old, his body's not developed, but he's obviously got great bloodlines. His dad played at Michigan in the 90s. So a guy you want to see, continue to work his way up the depth chart. Nathan Afobe, I mean, he's coming to his third year. You got to think he's competing for some PT.
I think that that right guard spot is going to come down to Afobe, Lawrence Hattar, not really sure how to pronounce it, but he came in as a transfer, so I think he's battling for that, and so I'm excited. I think people are very excited about Afobe, and he's another one that's like young guy who you really haven't heard about. I think him and Sprague on that right side will probably end up being the guys, but Babalola will he come out as a true freshman, which, I mean, you're a 5-star, you're ready. Sharon's said he's been competing. Maybe he makes his way into it. I don't know.
I really hope not. I mean, most freshman offensive line, it's such a tough position, especially at that left tackle spot, right? You're protecting Bryce Underwood, right? And that's, I mean, that a lot rides on the right arm of Bryce Underwood in 2025.
Yeah.
So I think Evan Link looked better in the spring game. Now look, if Babalola's just ready to go, he's ready to go and he wins the job. But most of the time, true freshman offensive line, it's very rare. In Michigan, we've seen it. Zach Zinner played a lot during 2020. I don't know if you guys remember Michigan playing football that year. I don't. Mason Cole in 2014. I think that should have told us that probably told us a lot about that team. Unfortunately, playing left tackle when he was basically center sized. There's also Jake Guarnera, who was the center recruit in 2024. So, those interior offensive linemen, they're not highly rated guys, but I think he's got, an impressive offer sheet coming out of high school. He's a guy that Michigan kind of targeted as their top center, prospect in that class. So, in terms of kind of the interior offensive line, Brady Norton as well from Cal Poly, the Division II transfer. He might be, or 1AA, he might be a year-ish away. I think he probably needs, because I think he's a redshirt sophomore, so this is his third year in college, first 2 at a Division 1AA school. So, but there's a lot of guys. It's just, there's a lot that we don't know about these players because they just haven't been on the field. So, obviously you feel good about Gio. You feel somewhat good about Greg Crippen. And you hope that Evan Link takes that step. And then it's kind of a couple unknowns. And even Evan Link's still an unknown.
Yeah. Well, and even Kripp, I think Kripp struggled at times. They rotated centers at times last year, right?
It looked better with Crippen in the game, though, than Jadis. Yeah. Every time I just was like, man, it looks a little easier with Crippen out there. And I don't know if that's because of his line calls. I mean, Jadis was kind of on the defensive line, back to offense. So with Crippen, even if he's, if he could be Andrew Vistardis, that's a huge win for Michigan.
I mean,
right?
That's a huge win. Yeah.
Because Vistardis is not the biggest guy in the world, and he'll tell you that, but he's damn smart. I mean, the guy's going to be a doctor, right? So, being able to direct your players to what they're doing, that's the important thing for a center. And when you get –
I mean, look at Jason Kelsey, right? That's, Hall of Fame guy that is very little, which
he's like 285.
Yeah, right? And they're doing okay with their podcast, I guess. Probably us and them are a 1A, 1B situation, I would say.
Yeah, you want to get T-Swift on the –
Who do you think we could get to compete? I don't know.
There's not compete, but be in somewhat same stratosphere with a different demographic. You did a podcast with this person last year, but it wasn't for Booba 90. But they're a very, very famous person.
I did. What did I do? What?
Ninja.
Oh, that's true.
If our listeners are not going to know who that person is, but he's very famous and rich. So that's about as close as we could probably go.
Okay. What about we could get Flava Flav? He was on the Michigan sideline. Him and T Swift, very similar, I would say.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to. I don't think we're in that.
We'll keep because
that comes with a lot of money.
Yeah.
Have you been to B-Dubs lately? They just have Jason Kelsey's head cut out
everywhere.
As you walk in, it's all right, how much money
it's actually I don't mind the Kelseys. I like them. I think they're funny. It is the Kelseys are shoved down our throat as football fans now.
I have to say, Happy Gilmore too, Travis Kelce, I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
So this is where we get comments of people being like, shut up and talk football. Man. Well, this is how our brains work. We're on a tangent talking about the Kelseys because we were talking about center.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the running backs then that are going to be running behind that offensive line. We obviously talked about them a little bit earlier, but you got Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall. You get Justice Haynes, who started at Alabama last year. I'm never, ever – I don't even care if it's not a Nick Saban Alabama. I'm never going to be mad about getting Alabama's starting running back in our backfield.
No, man. I mean, and you look at his stats last year, didn't get a ton of run, but, 80 carries for 450 yards. It's 5.7 yards per carry with 7 touchdowns. And you watch him, he's very physical. He's going to fit in just fine. I think Michigan fans are going to really enjoy watching him play football. He's just a physical kid, but he's athletic. I think they're going to be a really solid 1-2 punch. And I'm with you. It's Alabama. Until proven otherwise, it's Alabama. I know they lost a couple games last year, maybe one to Michigan, but, it's still Alabama at the end of the day, and they're still recruiting at a high level. So I'm excited to watch him.
Yeah, and then obviously we all watched Jordan Marshall's coming out party against Justice Haynes and Alabama. And, I mean, just the grit that this kid had, the slipperiness, the all of it, just felt like it was – I don't know that he looked like Blake Corum, but it was just he had everything that Blake Corum had, right? And so
yeah, well, a lot of people compared him to Blake Corum when he was coming out of high school. He's a touch bigger, but he's got that jump cut ability to get side to side. He's got great lateral quickness, and I mean I think you saw that on full display. And he was hurt, he was returning kicks. I don't remember him getting a ton of carries early in the season. Then he was out for a while, and then against Alabama, he just was a dog. I mean, he there were so many plays in that game where it's to the point earlier where people knew Michigan was going to run the ball, and they just got 8 or 9 in the box, and he still got 10, 15 yards out of it. I mean, he was just phenomenal that game.
Yeah, and that was like the weirdest game of all time too. So
that was hilarious.
It was. We were literally just laughing, like, what is happening?
It felt good to win, but like afterwards, we're just like, what did we just watch? It was amazing.
So I think probably the biggest X factor for Michigan in as a whole this year is this wide receiver room. You have Bryce Underwood obviously at quarterback, which we'll talk about the QB room right after this, but these QBs got to get it to somebody, right? And I think that, Michigan struggled at that position last year. Michigan is, let's be honest, since, I would say Braylon, I don't know, Roy Roundtree, Devin Gardner, like they haven't had, Nico obviously and DPJ were incredible, but we didn't use them correctly. So just have not had those dominant wide receivers for a long, long time. And so
you don't put Roman up there?
Roman's up there, but I don't know. Roman's up there in such
he's not Braylon.
Yeah. Right?
And he wasn't Jeremy Gallen. Right. Jeremy Gallen might be the best receiver since Braylon.
Yeah.
But I thought Roman for, what he did, especially because he's not built like a true number one receiver necessarily. And that's how he was utilized. And he was his senior year. I thought he was awesome.
I mean,
big play after big play.
I'd compare Roman in 2023 to Amon-Ra with the Lions. Like, I think they use them very similarly. And, but this year you do have a Donovan McCoy that you bring into the fold. Obviously did not see much because of an injury and just weirdness, I think, last year at Indiana. It sounds like, what's his name? The coach?
Kurt Cignetti,
who, I actually should Google him to find out his name. So the fact that I can't even remember, whatever. But it sounds like there was some, beef last year with that a little bit and just like weirdness. But I think we're happy to have him. It sounds like Donovan and Bryce have an awesome connection. And they just kind of have been running together, whether when a play goes awry, it's, backyard football, and they always seem to find each other. So pretty excited about having a 6'5", and you've been next to Donovan too.
Yeah,
he's all of 6'5". He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's not much smaller than our boy Marvin Klein.
Yeah,
I mean he's not as big, but like height wise, they're both legit 6'5". So Marvin's probably a touch taller, but yeah, Donovan McCoy is a big dude, and he had a great. I mean, if you remember, Michigan played Indiana at night in 2021. He was their quarterback because of injuries, and I just remember this kid's an athlete. And then in 2022, he plays receiver, and he just is pretty damn good for them as a bad IU team. But or maybe it was 23, I can't remember, but he had a really good year receiver for them. So having a true number one, and he's wearing number one. We should always have a receiver wearing number one at Michigan. It just looks so cool. It's my favorite number uniform combination in sports. I think it looks awesome. And anytime there's a number one out there, make a place for you. For me, it just takes me back to being a kid watching Braylon. I was a little too young for David Terrell, but I'm excited to see him play, man, because I think he's going to be that true number one receiver and be able to your point, go up, make plays when things break down. You got a guy that's 6'5", you can throw it up to. He's got jumping ability. He can make those crazy catches, and you live with a 50-50 ball for him.
Yeah. And then you have Fred Moore and Samaj as well coming in, who I think both, they're going to have, in my opinion, opportunities this year to separate themselves, right? Like, I think last year was just, it just obviously all didn't work. But you have Samaj, who's already talked about the fact that he's not just running bubble screen after bubble screen. And so I think he's pumped. We've seen that in some film as well, him making some great catches.
1,500 yards, man.
1,500 yards. As soon as you saw that one-handed catch, it was like immediately 1,500 yards.
Yep.
And even Fred Moore, there's a clip of Bryce finding him wide open for a touchdown as well. So I'm pumped about them. And then this tight end room, which I feel like is like also, I don't know how many, person deep. Like, you've got Marlin, you've got
like 4 or
Hanson
5.
Hogan, you've got Zach Marshall, who played a little bit on special teams last year and got in at the end of the year. Obviously, you have Brady at fullback / tight end, Jalen Hoffman, who was the star of the spring game. It's like that whole room is just as big as the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, there's a guy that, he got hurt against Ohio State. I think he was fine after, but Brady Priestcorn.
Yeah.
I mean, his brother was a stud at Ole Miss. I think played at Memphis too. So, he's a guy who is big time recruit in the state of Michigan in the backyard. And, he didn't get a lot of run last year. Hogan Hansen kind of overtook him as the number one of the 2 freshman tight ends who were both 4 stars coming in last year. But I just have to think that I just have a feeling that he's going to end up finding his way onto the field. But it's going to be tough, to your point, because obviously Marlon Klein's cemented as the number 1 tight end on this offense, and Hogan Hansen made some really nice plays last year against Ohio State. Zach Marshall, again, he's a big kid, man. I mean, he's a large dude, and he's a good athlete, and Deacon Tonelli too. So, I mean, there's just a lot of guys, and to your point, the kind of the H-back, fullback guys with Max and Jalen Hoffman. Our guy Eli Owens, who's on the show last year, he's coming as a freshman. He's basically recruited to do that job. So, they've just got a lot of guys in that tight end fullback room, as I hope Michigan always does, because life's more fun with a fullback.
Yeah, and I think, too, the nice thing about having, Marlin and Hogan and all these different guys, as well as the wide receiver room, is that they can – I just expect Michigan to have 1,000 different packages, and it's different guys coming in. Sometimes they're 2 tight ends. Sometimes it's 1 with an H-back. Sometimes it's 4 wide, right? I expect them with Bryce Underwood to have a ton of stuff going on. Now, you can still make it simple for Bryce and run the same play out of 5 different formations, right? That was Jim Harbaugh to a T, was how many formations can we run power out of, right? And so I think that's what I hope they do. And so let's talk about the quarterback room, this QB battle that I think we all know what the situation is, right?
Jake Garcia season.
It was funny seeing him as one highlight. Wait a minute. But no, I think that it's been an interesting battle for me to watch, for us to watch, because you've got – go back to the spring game. It's Jaden Davis versus Bryce Underwood, right? And, everyone had talked about Jaden Davis last year. Why is he not getting any run when you're struggling with Orgy and Warren and Tuttle and everybody? And so it's why is it he not? Then you see him in the spring game and you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? But you have those 2 as the QB battle in the spring game, because Mikey Keene, who you brought in as this safety net for Bryce Underwood, was hurt. And so it sounds like he still is just getting back into things. And we're just weeks away from the spring or from the first game. And so I think you have Jake Garcia, who came in at when was
a week ago, dude. It was recent.
It was not long ago, right? And so I think that that's where I don't know that you have a choice but to go with Bryce Underwood. Davis Warren still is not healthy, right? He's still recovering from an ACL. You got Mikey Keene, who's seen very limited time and is just coming back. Jake Garcia, who's only been in the room for so long. It's now is there even really a battle? No. Whether there was questions or not, I don't think you have an option.
No, it's going to be Bryce. It was always going to be Bryce. I don't care what anyone says. Maybe it would have been the first couple games with Mikey Keene having had experience playing in hostile environments. He played at Michigan last year with Fresno State, but it's always going to be Bryce. And I think you're just going to take the good with the bad this year. And we're all hoping it's a lot more of good than bad. We hope it's Trevor Lawrence in 2018 as a true freshman, but not everybody does that. So we're going to find out a lot in the first month of the season when it comes to Bryce. And obviously, yes, this year you want to win every year. You want to win every game every year. But the window with Bryce is more next year in 27, right? So this year, I think, is better for the long-term health of the program and winning championships in 2026 and 2027. Because JJ McCarthy, he got a lot of playing time as a true freshman, but can you imagine how much more advanced he would have been as a quarterback if he had started 2021, right?
Oh my god!
And obviously, you don't have a Cade Mack. You brought in Cade McNamara and he got hurt, right? With Mikey Keene. So, and I think them bringing in Jake Garcia speaks volumes on that. Unfortunately, because I wasn't to say I was excited about Mikey Keene, but I was like, that's not a bad piece to have, right? And not to have to go to the true freshman.
It's a great safety net, right? In terms of if Bryce Underwood's not there, like that's a guy who has played a lot of football, thrown it around, played in big time games in the big house, right? So, but I think let me ask you this question. Okay, let's say you have the option of Mikey Keene. Let's say he was healthy this whole time. Would you rather have Mikey Keene start the first 2 to 3 games than then it ends up going to Bryce, or just have Bryce just go?
I'm going to be honest. I'd probably roll with Keene because I think we talked about this defense, right? Like you can roll into look against New Mexico and Central Michigan. We're good.
Yeah.
Going to Oklahoma, going to Nebraska, you go into Norman and you go into Lincoln. Like I can't speak on Oklahoma. I've been to the games at Nebraska. I don't know if that's going to be a night game, big noon, whatever. That place is loud, and unless you take them out of it, it's going to be a tough environment. So, yeah, I probably would have been cool with Mikey Keene, right? Like, I always thought at some point Bryce was going to be the starter if Mikey Keene was healthy. Yeah. Like, if it was in September, if it was October, I always thought Bryce would end up pulling a Trevor Lawrence, and he was so good you couldn't keep him off the field. I think the easiest way to lose those games is turnovers, right? Because your defense is going to keep you in that. That run game is going to keep you in it. So how do you – that's the tough thing for the coaches, right? Like his playmaking ability, taking the shots, right? The gunslinger, because that's what he is. But you also don't want him to throw 3 picks in his first road game. Yeah. So it's like, how do you balance that? That's where Keene would have came in and been awesome, and then give the keys to Bryce and let's roll, get you ready for November. Now you're just going to have to roll with it, and maybe he gets through there unscathed. I don't know, because this team is really talented. There's a lot of depth on defense. This offense, we got some questions, right? We're excited, but I'm a little nervous. So, yeah.
No, I mean, you're right, and that's where, like, to your point, do you take, heading into Oklahoma, do you take the super senior guy that's had, 3 years of football underneath him and has played in those gigantic games, right? Like has gone to the big house, has gone to an opposing stadium, or do you take the fresh? I think Bryce turns 18 next week, I believe, right? So like the fresh
on the 19th, because I saw him comment on Savion Hyder's Instagram post when he's committing that Bryce said it was his birthday. So
nice birthday
recruiting, yeah.
Nice birthday present for Bryce if we can haul in Savion. But here's my like devil's advocate a little bit with that is like a couple things. One, if it's always going to be Bryce, let it be Bryce and just let him like go through the growing pains. I know you don't want to like go in and throw 3 picks at Oklahoma. Like that obviously crushes your confidence if that's going to be the case of what happens. But I think that just like, and this is every team ever has a QB battle, right? But like, you want to know who the guy is. You want him to go in with the confidence that it's like, all right, you go in, you're not going to get pulled after, 2 series. Like, we're going to ride with you. Because I think that does give you, like, if you have – and I don't think Bryce is this guy, but, like, when you have guys, like, looking over their shoulder to, like, oh, is he going to pull me? Is he going to pull me? And this happens more probably in, like, basketball versus football. But, like, it's just, you saw it last year. I think that you saw happy feet from every guy because they're like, I don't want to throw a pick. I don't want to do bad thing. And then you just – everything happens so quickly. I think ultimately, you wish that you had that Cade McNamara guy where you could just slow roll it. But also you're paying him a shit ton of money, and I think you want to see what happens, right? And so, this is one of those years where if you're a Michigan fan, you probably wish you had 5 cupcakes to begin the season that you can start off with. But sometimes, going into the fire is not all bad either. I don't know.
No, and again, with this, this expanded playoff, you can get in with a couple losses.
Yeah.
You might lose 3 games and they want to put you in there, but they can't, So like you have a chance no matter what happens. you've got a chance through this first month of the season. No matter what happens, you go to Oklahoma, you go to Nebraska, you lay an egg. Guess what? You can run the table, go 10-2, and you're in the playoff. Right. So, you have a lot more opportunities to fail and still end up going to the college football playoff. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm excited and excited to see Bryce. I'm excited that it's him. I just could see the thought process from the coaching staff in terms of what they were going to do. But yeah, and to your point, Bryce is never going to have anyone over his shoulder, right? Yeah. Like the moment he walks out for the first time with the football, that's it. He is starting every game at Michigan for the rest of his career.
That's how I feel too. And I almost think that's how it should be, right? Like, I think that's, we're
going to live and die with Bryce Underwood, right? For better or for worse. And I mean, look, we've seen the highlights, we've seen the scouting reports, everything. It's like, that's a guy I'll bet on, like, let's see what happens.
And I mean, the thing is, like, you've seen it happen also go poorly, right? With like a DJ Uiagalelei, right? Like, that was 5-star, right?
That was good. That was a good pronunciation right there.
That was pretty good, right? So 5-star guy that, like, obviously, it didn't work out. And so there's always that chance, right? But to your point, like, we've all seen it. I think he's got the swagger. He's got, like, all the tools in his tool belt. You just got to put it together. The other thing that I just want to say too about those first 4 games is, like, Oklahoma, it's not like going to Georgia. They were 6-6 last year, right? Like, Nebraska was 7-6. And so I'm not saying it's not hard to go there and win, and they'll probably be better, but you're not going to a college football playoff team and playing under the lights.
I just mean literally the environment.
No, like, for sure. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there. And I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of people are just like, oh shit, you got to go to Oklahoma. And I'm not saying it's easy by any means. Like, it's still an SEC team that has played at the highest level, and it's a giant football program that will probably be really good if their quarterback stops betting on football also.
Venmo, man, get you in trouble.
Hey, also, actually, we'll talk about that in a minute, because I think that I have a lot to say on that too. But I'm just saying, I think that it's just very different going to those teams than if we scheduled a Georgia, right? Like, if you're, or even a Texas, right? Like, obviously we played Texas and, like, saw how that went. Like,
Bryce's junior year, I'm good with that.
Yeah, right, for sure. But I mean, Texas is a very different team this year than Oklahoma. Right. So
sure.
I think that it's not as, like, dreary as that looks. You know what I mean? For a freshman quarterback.
No, for sure. And I mean, I expect them to get through either 3-1 or 4-0. I'll be honest. Yeah. Especially with the defense, the run game. Oklahoma added some nice pieces. Nebraska's got some nice receivers. We're going to see, how much of an improvement Raiola makes down there. But I do expect Michigan to get, at least one of those, and if not both of them.
Yeah, 100%. And all right. So all right. And we didn't talk about Zavada, which we don't need to talk about.
We don't need to talk about Zavada.
I mean, it's just like automatic. Zavada-matic. So let's flip it to a couple things. One, I just want to touch on the Oklahoma quarterback. Why am I just blanking on his name right now?
John Mateer.
Yeah. I wanted to say Mateen, and then I didn't want it, like, Mateen Cleaves. Like, what am I don't know. So John Mateer, like, the one thing I want to say about that is just how completely polar, obviously opposite, different the media handled that. Literally, Shannon Terry, the leader of On3 and Rivals, tweeted, "I believe him. Let's move on," with no evidence to say that he didn't do it.
Yeah, I do think how he said it is how it went down. Really stupid prank. Like, yeah, you say some stupid things on there and you screw around. Like, my favorite when I Venmo people. Now I've made mine private because of Connor Stallions. Legitimately, I was like, I don't need anybody to know. But the eggplant emoji, I'll just pay that. Anytime my boys got some pizza, send them the eggplant emoji because I think it's funny. I get it. you're a college athlete, man. This was when he was, I think, a freshman or
I think he was a
something
freshman, yeah.
at Washington State. So yeah, but also like, I don't know. It was very interesting to see that because initially it's like, that's a troll. It's like one of those fake On3 accounts that, you know, loves to stir up things. And then I was like, no, I went and looked. I was like, oh, that's actually there. But yeah, it is funny. And I enjoyed Connor Stallion's response to it. He's like, oh, when I do it. So, you know,
but I mean, in all seriousness, though, like I know they're different circumstances, whatever. You know, it's not like I will say it's not like he was gambling allegedly, if it is true that it wasn't on his own team and blah blah blah. So they're obviously different. I just laughed at like immediately the media was like, no big deal, with zero evidence to say whether it was or was not. They're like, yeah, no big deal. Let's just move on. Meanwhile, like you would have thought Connor Stalions murdered 1,000 babies and just like, you know, it was like babies and puppies that he was just killing.
Have you seen, because we're gonna talk about it now, but have you seen like these tweets where it's like, oh, Connor Stalions at the Big Ten championship, it's just a bald guy. It's just like a guy that's white and bald. I was like, dude, I tried to think of a funny tweet to use like Jason Statham, but I got tired of thinking of something and I just gave up. But like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it was Scott Goldschmidt, who's the director of ops and has been for like a decade. And like, what are we doing? And I mean, again, I like refrain from tweeting at those people to give them more attention and, you know, egg them on to do it more. But it is like, holy shit. Like, it's just obvious, so out of control. And now, you know, the hammer is, we're 2 years later, right? The hammer is supposedly here, and we've got Justin Spiro, of all people, going on Spaces and backtracking everything, who I will say, I haven't believed a single word out of Justin Spiro's mouth until like 24 hours ago. And
you know what? There's been a lot of people who have made that point of like, oh, Michigan fans thought he was blah, blah, blah. And now he's, you know, I saw someone say he's a Pulitzer Prize. It's like, no, dude, it's funny because he has spent the last year and a half, talking that Urban Meyer is going to go to Michigan State to coach football, which is just, that's still hilarious to me. But secondly, like he has any sort of inside sources at the NCAA or at the University of Michigan. Brother, what are we talking about here?
I don't know.
You know?
Man.
Yeah, and then like, I mean, these are the same guys who are like, oh, bet has a deeper meaning. Like, yeah, bro, Michigan's got a legal gambling ring going on, and they're gonna use the hashtag bet because they like. I'm so ready to be done with this, and I think this is gonna go up Thursday morning. We're probably gonna have to record another podcast because it's apparently gonna come out by the end of the week. Let's move on. Sharon's probably gonna be suspended a couple of games, so probably miss going back to Oklahoma, which sucks for him. Oklahoma guy, played football there. You know, either I'm assuming Chip Lindsey or Wink will be the interim head coach for 2 weeks, and then we'll move on with our lives. Michigan get slapped with a big fine, probably a couple of recruiting restrictions. That's what it sounds like. And let's move on because it's the most overblown, non-scandal scandal of all fucking time, dude. It is absurd.
The people in the comments are going to love that one right there if they've listened this far. It's just like it doesn't need to be talked about 2 years later. That's my thing. And it's still like the main topic of discussion for every Ohio State fan, which is crazy, but Sparties too, obviously, which they have nothing else to talk about. So I don't blame them for continuing to talk about it. Ohio State fans still talking about this is insane because like you won the national championship. Like,
yeah, brother, I didn't think about Ohio State when Michigan won the national championship.
Literally.
I mean,
not one single time. And my guy, Mr. Ohio on Twitter, who I actually think is a good human being. He's like not a bad like account. He's fun and can take some shit and give some shit. But he tweeted out the picture of the Michigan App State scoreboard the other day. And I'm like, okay, you are the reigning
Tuesday morning.
And a Tuesday morning in August. You're the reigning national champ. You've got your own team to like be excited for in 17 days, right? Like we're on the, you know, that's not a like mid-June, like I've got nothing else to do thing. That's like, I'm like, brother, there has got to be other things that you are focused on than Michigan App State from 15 years ago.
What's the Twitter account? Is it like College Football Nerds or something? Did you see that where they put out like a thing where it was Ohio State fans don't care about losing to Michigan, and then like my whole timeline is like App State, Toledo. I saw trouble with the snap today. It's like, yeah, they for sure don't care. Yeah, no, for sure they don't actually care that they lost to Michigan 4 years running.
Do not actually care.
Yeah, dude, it is. It's so fun that we get to laugh that off now. And I thought football, like, you could only brag about like what's happened in the most like the last year. Right. So obviously got the natty for sure. But Michigan won the game, and no gold pants for Jack Sawyer or any of those guys. And
it's the one thing that is for sure. It's the emptiest national championship, I think, of all time.
Yeah, I think you'll see that moving forward, but they were the first one. Also, I just thought about this. Can you imagine how much better our lives would be? Because they just I don't even say anything and I just get mentions. Like, I literally have to turn my Twitter to like only people I follow that I get the notification for, because it's like the worst comments of people I've never met, never seen, troll account, whatever, fake profile pic, just saying the craziest shit. But like, bro, can you imagine if the 4-team playoff and the 12-team playoff passed 1 year later? Oh, these suckers got it on the first try both times.
Oh my God. I mean, this is like, yeah, because it was Virginia Tech here, right? That was,
yeah, and they got in over TCU or Baylor, who were both 11-1.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, can you imagine this past year if Davis Warren scoring 13 points kept Ohio State out from winning a national championship?
Yeah, things would look a lot different there. So that, hey, look, that saved them. That saved Ryan Day's job.
Literally saved Ryan Day's job.
Is that a bad thing for us?
The 12-team playoffs saved Ryan Day's job.
Is that bad for us, though? Also saw, this is not Michigan related, but my son, it was actually pretty funny, but I think he was probably screwing around. But like, it was a picture of Ryan Day at practice, and it's like bad day for the Just for Men truthers. And he had like some gray coming through. I was like, "Atta boy, like let the salt and pepper shine through, Ryan. It's okay, man."
What if? Do you think that come?
Yeah, it's gonna be Coach K Black. Yep.
Is it back to black?
Yes. Like, it looks like he looks like he has Coach K's hair on his head. As a kid, I was always like, damn, bro, Coach K don't age. I never realized that dude was using Just for Men, man. Just the whole jet time. Black. He was using black shoe shine, actually, I think, is how he kept it so damn black, dude.
If he's got, so it's Ohio State, Texas week 1, right? And so
dude, week 1's crazy. We'll talk about it more in depth, I'm sure, but
I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. So that's also, I just love Ohio State fans having to deal with Big Noon Kickoff all day long. And
dude, what's the one account that's all he complains about? The Ohio State fans. That's just like, that's his sole complaint, is playing on Big Noon. Like, he wants Ross Bjork's ass, dog. He's on him. Like, he wants his head on a platter.
I'll be honest, I understand. Like, it sucks bad if you're just constantly playing at noon. Like, we
dealt with that a little bit. Like, it felt like a run of noon games.
We definitely, often. Dude. 2022, we had like 7 in a row.
Yeah,
like, it was something crazy like that. And so Big Noon Kickoff loved us, but so I understand it, but I still laugh at like them just bitching. And now they've got to deal with Portnoy, which is like their one guy that's just like the worst person ever in their mind. So it's all just very funny to me to watch from afar.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I typically don't say much. I'll just throw a comment out there and then just leave it, and I'll just like curiosity to get the best of me, and I'll just go look. I'm like, damn, bro, like saying all that over some football, like, so Twitter is just like, it's crazy right now. Like, it is. I think everybody's just like so sick of like the heat and everybody wants to kill each other on Twitter. So I'm trying to stay out of it. Like, it's bad.
I mean, the one thing today that was incredible was I think it was Thamel or somebody tweeted out that Jaden Denigal was going to be the starter for San Diego State.
Yeah.
And it was like
Bryce Underbust. Yeah.
Literally, it was like most expensive backup ever, Bryce Underwood. Yeah. I'm like, dude, it's one sentence that you have to read and you can figure it out.
Well, and then a lot of those people be like, "Oh, I was trolling." I hate that, bro. Like, just say you're stupid. Just stand on business. Like, no, I'm actually a dumb fuck. No,
I fucked up. I've done it.
illiterate.
I've been dumb before. I've been dumb a lot. Like I'm not expecting everybody to be perfect. So, it's so good.
God, we are so back, dude. It's an hour and 6 minutes into this. We've just rambled. I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. It's gonna be incredible. Week 0 soon. Week 1, baby. We're gonna be. I'm gonna be having a good time, man. I'm gonna recover from my last 2-day hangover. We're gonna try to avoid it for week 1.
There we go. All right, and we'll have some updates about our tailgate coming here very soon. We'll do another pod if the actual punishments or whatever come out for Michigan. So
they're gonna come out right after we get done, bro. I'm gonna be so
probably. Well, we gotta go listen to the Taylor Swift podcast too. So.
It's a big time.
So, all right. Well, appreciate you all. Shout out to Feldman again for hooking it up for the boys. It's going to be funny because like the last time I've seen a lot of these guys was that autograph signing at Feldman. And so I'm excited to see him back out on the field. They've been locked in for football camp, for fall camp. So, we're back now, and we'll have all the Feldman stuff out at the tailgate too, so you can check out. Maybe somebody walks away with possibly getting a truck too. You never know.
It might be me. I might rig it in my favor. Don't worry about it, and I'll pay the taxes. I got it like that. We're good.
Never know.
$10,000 in taxes on that $50,000 truck would be fine. Whatever.
It'll be fine. All right. Well, for us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.